All right, today we're going to talk about modern cybersecurity, but we're going way beyond just your standard automated scan. Let's dive right in.
So let's just start with a really direct question, especially if you're running a business or a team right now. Is your digital fortress really breach-proof? I mean, it's the kind of question that probably keeps a lot of you up at night, and for a very good reason.
And that really gets to the heart of the problem. This quote, it says it all, doesn't it? In the world we live in now, this idea of good enough security, well, it isn't just a compromise. It's basically like leaving your front door wide open with a welcome mat out for attackers. The stakes are just incredibly high.
See, the thing is, as cyber threats get smarter and more sophisticated, that old mindset of just, checking the boxes on a security audit, that itself has become a huge vulnerability. What might have been considered good enough a year ago or even 6 months ago is a massive glaring hole in your defenses today.
And here's the bottom line. Your standard off-the-shelf security tools, they are struggling to keep up. The attackers are constantly evolving, and if our defenses aren't evolving right there with them, or better yet, a step ahead, then we're not just standing still, we're actively falling behind.
Okay, so what's the alternative here? Let's look at a totally different way of thinking. Instead of just relying on one single kind of one-size-fits-all tool, this approach uses something called the scanner's box arsenal. And you can think of it less like a single clunky padlock and more like a master locksmith's entire specialized toolkit.
And believe me, that toolkit is absolutely massive. We're talking about a whole ecosystem of over 500 specialized scanners. And this isn't about brute force, it's about precision. It's about having the exact right key for every single conceivable lock you might come across.
Now, here's what's so cool about this. It's not just about the big number. What this arsenal actually lets you do is pivot between hundreds of different attack vectors. You can use exploits written in Python, Go, Java, you name it. And that helps uncover these sneaky flaws that most commercial tools just miss them. The source material calls it surgical-grade security dissection, and honestly, that's the perfect way to describe it.
All right, so you have this amazing arsenal of tools, but how do you actually use it? Well, that's where we get into the actual attack simulation. It's a process broken down into this really methodical, three-tiered deep dive.
So here are the 3 stages. First up, Tier 1. You're looking at the web infrastructure and all the applications. Then Tier 2 goes way deeper. This is where you get into deep code analysis, using what are called SAST and DAST techniques to literally pick apart the source code, both when it's just sitting there and when it's actually running. And finally, Tier 3. This tackles the brand new frontier, auditing the security of AI and large language models, or LLMs. And each of these tiers builds right on top of the last one.
And this really shows you the kind of depth we're talking about. This is so not a simple automated scan. In those first 2 tiers, the security experts are actively hunting for everything. Classic stuff like SQL injections and broken authentication, but also really subtle things like hard-coded credentials. We're talking passwords and API keys accidentally left right in the source code, basically buried in the product's DNA.
Okay, let's talk about Tier 3, because this is becoming more and more critical every single day. As pretty much every company starts integrating AI, they are often, without even realizing it, opening up completely new ways for attackers to get in. This is a massive, and I mean massive, and often totally overlooked area of risk.
So first up in the world of AI risk is something called prompt injection. The easiest way to think about it is this. Can someone trick your AI with a cleverly worded prompt? Can they hijack its instructions? Because if they can make it do things it was never designed to do, basically turning your helpful AI assistant into a potential insider threat.
Next on the list is data leakage. Now, this one is really subtle, but it can be incredibly damaging. The question here is, could your AI, while trying to be helpful, accidentally spit out sensitive information that it learned from its training data? We're talking anything from internal company memos to, even worse, private customer data.
And the third big one is insecure output handling. So what happens if your system just trusts the AI's response a little too much? If you don't properly validate what the AI generates, a bad actor could trick it into creating malicious code, which your own system then happily executes. It's like an insider threat, but one that was created by the AI. Okay, so after all of this intense digging and testing, what do you get at the end? Well, it's not just a giant scary list of problems. The most important step is what comes next, turning all those findings into actual fixes. This is where we go from just pointing out red flags to creating a solid, actionable remediation roadmap.
And honestly, this is the key takeaway from the whole process. A true security partnership does more than just hand you a list of everything that's broken. It delivers a plan that your developers can actually use right away. It's all about creating a partnership, not just dropping a report on someone's desk.
So what does that plan actually look like? Well, first, you get a prioritized risk matrix. This tells you what's a drop everything and fix this now kind of fire versus something you can just monitor for a bit. Second, you get developer-ready fixes. We're talking actual code snippets and config guides. And third, you get a retesting guarantee, so you can be absolutely sure that the fix worked and that vulnerability is gone for good.
Now, here's a really interesting little detail from the source material. This kind of super deep, high-tier testing, it's often extremely limited. In this particular case, we're talking about just 5 slots available for an entire month.
So why so few? Well, it's because this isn't some simple automated scan that you can just run on 1,000 companies at the same time. No, this is a manual, incredibly intensive, and deeply technical process that needs real human expertise every single step of the way. That limited availability is a direct reflection of the sheer quality and depth of the work involved.
So, I want to leave you with this question to really think about. What's the real difference between a routine security scan and a true surgical dissection of your defenses? I think after walking through this whole process, the answer is pretty clear, right? One of them just checks to see if you left any doors unlocked. The other meticulously tries to pick every single lock.